In the distant past, during the age when towering stone structures reached towards the heavens, and the land was ruled by kings with divine authority, there was a kingdom known as Arcania. The people of Arcania were famed for their wisdom and strength, living in harmony with nature and guided by the stars that lit up the night sky. The kingdom was protected by a great wall, built from stone mined deep within the mountains. At its center stood the grand palace of King Thalon, a wise and noble ruler. He was not only respected for his fairness, but also for his deep knowledge of ancient mysteries. Every decision he made was consulted with the council of elders, who carried the wisdom of generations before them. In this kingdom lived a young boy named Kale, the son of a humble farmer. Though his family was poor, Kale had a burning desire for knowledge. Every evening, after working in the fields, he would sneak into the marketplace where traveling scholars told stories of distant lands and ancient times. His mind was filled with tales of heroic battles, ancient ruins, and powerful gods. One day, a great darkness began to spread across the kingdom. Strange creatures, unlike anything seen before, descended from the northern mountains. They were swift and powerful, and their presence brought fear to the hearts of the bravest warriors. The once peaceful kingdom of Arcania was now under threat. King Thalon, realizing the gravity of the situation, summoned his council and called upon all the wise men of the land. Together they consulted the ancient scrolls and deciphered a prophecy that spoke of a hero from humble origins who would rise to defeat the darkness. In a twist of fate, Kyle was chosen. The elders saw in him a spark, a potential to wield an ancient power that had been forgotten for centuries. Though he was young and inexperienced, Kyle was determined to prove himself worthy of the task. With the guidance of an old sage, Kale embarked on a perilous journey to the Temple of Stars, a sacred place said to hold the key to unlocking his hidden powers. Along the way, he faced countless challenges, fierce beasts, treacherous terrain, and riddles that tested his wit. Yet with every obstacle, Kale grew stronger, both in body and in mind. At last, he reached the temple, where he discovered the ancient weapon known as the Blade of Light. Forged in the heart of a fallen star, the blade had the power to vanquish the darkness, but only if wielded by one with a pure heart and an unbreakable will. Armed with the Blade of Light, Kale returned to Arcania to face the creatures that had plagued his people. In a climactic battle beneath the shadow of the Great Wall, Kyle fought valiantly, his blade cutting through the darkness like a beacon of hope. The creatures fell one by one, and with a final strike, Kale banished the dark forces from the land. The kingdom of Arcania was saved, and Kyle, once a humble farmer's son, became a hero remembered for generations. King Thalon, in gratitude, offered him a place in the royal court. But Kale humbly declined, choosing instead to return to his simple life, ever grateful for the adventure that shaped his destiny. And so the tale of Kale, the boy who became a hero, was passed down through the ages, a reminder that greatness can come from the most unlikely of places, and that the true power of a hero lies not in their strength, but in their heart. Years passed, and Kale's story became legend, sung by bards and shared around fires on cold nights. Though Kyle had returned to his life as a farmer, the people of Arcania never forgot the humble boy who saved their kingdom. Children would gather around the elders to hear about the day Kyle wielded the Blade of Light and banished the darkness. But Kale's journey was far from over. One evening, as Kale was tending to his fields, an unexpected visitor arrived. It was the old sage who had once guided him to the Temple of Stars. His face, weathered by time, bore a serious expression. He spoke of strange omens. The stars had shifted, and whispers of a greater threat echoed across distant lands. The darkness you once faced was only a shadow of what is to come, the sage warned. A force older than time itself is stirring. Though Kyle had longed for peace, he understood that his destiny had not yet been fulfilled. With a heavy heart but resolute spirit, he agreed to accompany the sage on one last journey. Together they traveled to the edges of the known world, beyond the borders of Arcania, where forgotten realms lay shrouded in mystery. Along the way, Kyle encountered allies from distant kingdoms, warriors, mages, and scholars, each with their own stories of loss and hope. They all sought one thing, the ancient power that could stop the rising darkness. Kyle became their leader, not because of his strength, but because of his wisdom, his humility, and his ability to inspire courage in the hearts of others. Their journey led them to the Valley of Shadows, a place where time itself seemed to stand still. At its center was an ancient, crumbling fortress, the last stronghold of the dark force they sought to defeat. Inside, they found an ancient being older than the mountains and more powerful than any foe Kyle had ever faced. The battle that ensued was unlike any before. The creature, born of chaos, could manipulate reality, bending time and space to its will. Kyle and his companions fought with all their might, but it seemed as though the darkness would prevail. In the final moments, when all hope seemed lost, Kyle remembered the words of the sage. True power comes not from strength, but from within. With a deep breath, Kyle tapped into the ancient knowledge he had gained on his journey, realizing that the only way to defeat the darkness was to embrace the light within himself. In an act of ultimate sacrifice, Kyle channeled the energy of the blade of light and merged it with his very essence. His body became a vessel of pure light, banishing the darkness not through force, but through the power of love, courage, and unity. The dark creature was consumed by the light, its form dissolving into nothingness. The fortress crumbled, the valley filled with light, and the world was saved once again. But Kyle did not return with his companions. He had become one with the light, a beacon in the heavens, forever watching over the lands he had fought to protect. His name lived on in the stars, and every night the people of Arcania would look to the sky, knowing that their hero was still with them, guarding their future from the eternal night. And thus, the legend of Kyle, the boy who became light, would forever be etched into the history of the ancient world, a symbol of hope and the enduring power of the human spirit.